Welcome to But the Caveat is I'm your host, Bleu, and let's talk about Dr. Cheyanne Bryant. People are mad at this lady. I'm not mad at her. I'm like, yo, get your money. You know what I mean? You people believe too much of what's going on the internet. There's a lot of people faking credentials, and she just happened to be one that did it very well. So she picked this college as University. I never heard of this university before, so I don't know anything about it. So anyway, what happened was she was dealing with she was in the world of men, and she was telling people what her truths are, how she feels about what they are saying, and she was coming from a perspective leaning on her education. And so she was striking a lot of nerves. She got at Cam Newton, Nick Cannon in particular, two of the men who are intentionally creating broken homes with children by multiple women and have no intention on marrying and being in the home with the children. So she was coming from a perspective of a person with a doctorate degree because she has the doctor in front of her name. People were assuming that she was a doctor, not a doctor like a medical doctor, but a PhD. And so people were getting pissed, and of course people started to dig. And so no one could find her dissertation. And so when they couldn't find her dissertation, she is now saying that she came out and said that this college that we see here, I can't pronounce it correctly, it worked with a third party vendor, and that they only kept her transcripts and everything for 2 years. And so she has no way of proving to us that she has a doctor's degree. Come to find out, people did some more digging. I don't know why she even told this lie. People did more digging, and they actually contacted this said university, and they said that is not true and that they can give her her records if she indeed finished her doctor's degree or however far she went with it. And so now people are coming back to her, and they're like, "Hey, doctor, they said that they actually can give you your transcripts. What's up? Why aren't you showing your transcripts? Why aren't you showing your doctorate degree?" And so now she's leaning into, I'm not going to give you guys what you want because I serve God. I answer to God. That was like, why you gotta bring God into this? He didn't need to be into this foolishness that you didn't create it. So now she is refusing to show any proof of anything. Um I don't know if she has any credentials because we've seen it before where there were people that were faking credentials, faking nursing degrees during the pandemic. Up until today, people have still been getting arrested for that and incidents of people getting harmed. And I think what she is doing is very a bad disservice. And what kind of triggered me, well, put up my spidey sense in regards to her was that the fact that she quote unquote allegedly let her license lapse and was giving us the cockamamie story of not wanting to follow the ethical rules that were attached to that licensure. I don't know if she ever had it. I'm not going to dig. But when I was having a conversation with some people that were listening to me talk about this, and I'm like, well, we haven't proven it. I don't have any proof, so I can't like just say I'm going to take away her doctor's degree. But then, things started to happen where people started to dig more. And so one lady dug and looked up her patent. So apparently she patented the name Dr. Bryant, which is her stage name. And none of the thing cuz like you got to list what you want to use, the name for. And one of the things was for educational reasons, and none of it said counseling, none of it claimed to have a doctorate degree. And so I believe that what we see in here is that a woman who saw that she could lean into a doctor's degree with pretty privilege. She's a very pretty woman. Dr. Bryant is very pretty. And so I believe that because she's pretty, no one delved into her credentials and really legitimized her. But why should they? So she's been on the Breakfast Club. She's been on the Joe Button podcast. She's been on the Cam Newton show. and she's been on a plethora of podcasts. And my thing was, someone said to me that, well, she shouldn't have went on the Joe Budden podcast. That's too big of a platform. People started to dig, and I'm like, well, Breakfast Club's a big platform, and nobody was digging. But it made me think, like, why can't she be on these platforms speaking? Why not? If we're talking about credentials, right? Most podcasters, don't have PhDs. I'm a podcaster. I don't have a PhD. I have a master's degree and a license, but I'm not a PhD, and nor would I claim that, because that's just not something I would do. But if you're someone like Dr. Bryant, who is looking to be an influencer and looking to be a public speaker and have like a stage presence and a stage name, who's about entertainment, then why can't she use the name Dr. Bryant? People want her to drop it. I don't think she should. And then people said that she shouldn't have been on these podcasts. I don't I don't feel the same way. It's because she has an opinion. She's able to say it. Nothing that she said um was wrong, in my opinion. It was unhealthy for Cam Newton and Nick Cannon to be intentionally creating broken homes. Research has shown that having a nuclear family, two-parent household, and it increases the likelihood of developing healthy children who will turn into healthy, emotionally healthy adults. There's no research showing that if you continue to have a baby over this state, that state, this state, and you're not in the homes, that these kids will be emotionally mature and emotionally healthy people. Not saying they can't be, but the likelihood of them having a lot of trauma from that is increased. And so I don't think there was nothing wrong with her saying those things. And people were mad because she was in their face real time telling them that they were being um, intentionally unhealthy, pretty much. Like, you're creating unhealthy environments for children. And no one wants to hear, oh, well, I'm doing something to harm children intentionally because I'm going out and I'm seeking these things out. And people were saying, well, she shouldn't be on these platforms speaking, then she should. Like, there's nothing wrong with having an opinion. Where I think she went wrong is because she leaned into, well, in my experience as a doctor, and she may not have quote unquote said doctor, but in my experience in working in this field, she was leaning in her credentials and she wasn't being truthful that she didn't have a doctorate degree that we could verify. Because she should have known that these people were going to dig because you were, ruffling feathers. But I don't think that she shouldn't have not been on these platforms speaking. I just think she shouldn't have leaned so much or been more transparent. She should have told the people that Dr. Bryant is my stage name. And so she's allowed to have an opinion. And people acting like she shouldn't have been on the Joe Budden podcast. Why not? If we're looking at credentials, then Joe shouldn't have a podcast. If we're leaning in credentials, because he has a lot of opinions on things that's beyond music. And so he speaks from his experiences. But let's be clear. Joe is a college, not even a college, I'm sorry, high school dropout that has managed to lean into um entertainment that segue into what he's doing now, which is podcasting. I'm very proud of him for what he's done, his accomplishments. But to say that she shouldn't be on his platform, no, I don't believe that. I believe that she's allowed to be on his platform. They invited her. They didn't track her credentials. They didn't say, well, hey, in order for you to sit on our table, I'm sorry, to sit on our couch and have a conversation with her, you have to have a verified doctorate degree. They didn't dig into Dr. Umar's um, PhD. They just let him go up there and call himself Dr. Umar. Nobody was digging into Dr. Umar's dissertations. And I feel like this is all because she's a woman and she's in real time speaking to these men very confidently about the fact that what they're doing is unhealthy and wrong. And so they don't want to hear that. But because Dr. Umar is a man who sits in their faces, mind you, to Joe's point, the Joe Button podcast, he was on the podcast with, white co-host, a black co-host who's exclusively dating white women. who says some things um, that may have offended the black community. I'm talking about the co-host that has a white woman um, and it's a black man. And he has said in their faces that you shouldn't be dating out of your race. You shouldn't be, bunny hopping. But they're not digging into his credentials and saying that he shouldn't be on their platform. I just feel like it's a double standard when it comes to women. And it's like, no, I don't agree with her not showing her credentials. I think because they're challenging your credentials, you should show them. And I don't like what she's doing where she's using God as a way not to quote unquote submit to the masses and you, you only she's using, well, I only answer to God, and that's cool, but you're not saying God this and God that when you're leaning into your theories and your thoughts. You're leading with your education and your experience, and so it's very hypocritical what she's doing. I still like her. I still think she should either just say, look, Dr. Bryant's my stage name. I really do not have a doctorate degree. I'm so mad at her for not having a doctorate degree, not having a dissertation, and leaning into this lie because we know it's a lie. All of us know she doesn't have a doctorate degree. I don't even know if she has a master's or a license. I hope she does because I hope she wasn't out here counseling people because that's what she said she was doing without a license. I hope she was not doing that. Anyway, make sure you like, subscribe. Make sure you leave a 5-star rating, and y'all have a good night.